Hello everyone. Welcome back to Know the Social series of knowing non-profit organizations and knowing people who are doing initiatives in the sector, in the impact space. Today we have Mangal and Swetha from KEF Education Foundation. Welcome to the podcast, Swetha and Mangal. We are so happy to have you. Can you just introduce yourself, say hi to the people watching?
Hello everyone. I am Mangal and I'm the co-founder and CEO at KEF Education Foundation.
Hi everyone, I'm Swetha. I'm also the co-founder and I lead the product development and government programs at KEF Education Foundation.
Thank you so much, Swetha, Mangal. So, do you want to talk about your organization? What does organization do?
Sure.
Go ahead, Swetha.
So at KEF, we are a not-for-profit. We're just about 6 years old and we're focused on ensuring quality early childhood education for children from disadvantaged communities. So we work specifically with children between the ages of 3 to 6 years of age. And we do this by working with all of the stakeholders that impact the life of the child. So we believe that by empowering the school, working with the teachers and with the parents of the same children, we can ensure that children are growing and developing holistically and are ready not just for entering grade 1, but for life as well. So we've been doing that and we do it through various initiatives and programs. We do it through direct school interventions and we also work with governments to work in ensuring LKG, UKG classrooms in government schools and as well as empower the Anganbadi systems.
Because LKG, UKG, Anganbadi systems are the place where kids like education actually starts, and how do we build that ecosystem is something most of the nonprofits are thinking, and you're already working on it. Mangal, would you want to share about the story? How did the organization start? What is the essence of the story?
I think the genesis of KEF Education Foundation was largely from both me and Swetha's experience of working in the social sector collectively for more than a decade, right? And both our understanding and there is similarity in both our understanding and finding that children in the low-income communities have missed out on a strong foundational literacy, numeracy, and social emotional learning skills, due to which, as they have progressed into their academic life, they are not able to take the best benefits of what is being provided to them by other NGOs, right? Like, for example, we work with various NGOs and all of them were providing this spectacular product and services. But unfortunately, it was not having the intended impact because the foundational skills was lacking in the NGO, in the children, right? And this was across, when I was working with 8th and 9th grade students at Akansha Foundation. This was a Nudge Foundation when I was working with youth above 18, right? And the same with Swetha when she was developing science products at Experifun. And the more we started understanding the challenge and saying, where does the gap actually begin? It brought us to early childhood education, right? Like Swetha was mentioning, research across neuroscience, economics, as well as the latest discoveries in this country on how we can reform education, they're all focusing to one thing, which is to say that we need to focus on foundational literacy and numeracy, and to do that, we need a very strong early childhood education, which we need a very strong foundational skill that is developed before the child gets into grade 1. And we also did our own research in a community to understand in Bangalore, to understand where exactly are children availing early childhood education and what is the current situation. And unfortunately, the reality is that children are not being prepared for grade 1. Children are not getting any kind of mental brain stimulation before they get into grade 1. There is a heavy focus on rote memorization. There is a heavy focus on writing. There is a heavy focus on English as a language rather than the mother tongue. And all of this, in fact, motivated us to say we want to do something and we want to start.
Would you also like to tell us what are the different geographies you're working with?
So we started off in urban Bangalore. Over the last 5 years, we've scaled to 3 urban cities in Karnataka. We work in Bangalore and Mysore. We also work with the government schools across the state. We work with 300 schools across the state of Karnataka. Karnataka, helping them set pre-primary classroom or improve the quality of pre-primary classrooms in government schools. Apart from Karnataka, we also have recently started our work in a district of Chhatarpur, which is in Madhya Pradesh. It's an aspirational district. Over the next 3 to 5 years, we are looking to reform the quality of early childhood education across all the 2,000 Anganbadi.
Sure, thank you. Would you also put some light on what are the different programs you are working? Can you explain those?
Yes. So our programs are centered around the spaces that we work in as well. So one is we have a program called the School Readiness Program, where we partner with schools directly. These are community low-income schools or affordable private schools, where we offer them an end-to-end pre-primary intervention. So this involves our in-house curriculum that we self-publish. We have a teaching learning kit that we equip the school with, and we have a year-long program where we provide online and offline teacher training services for the pre-primary educators, and we also go in as coaches. So we go to the school every month, observe the teacher, give her constructive feedback, do demonstrations so that the teacher feels more confident to take the practices of the training into her classroom. And lastly, we also work with the parents through two major components. One is we conduct school level workshops for the parents. And in addition to that, we have a tech-enabled product called CLAP. It's called Children Learning Assisted by Parents. The genesis of this program happened during COVID, but because of the immense uptake that we saw, we decided that CLAP will be a WhatsApp bot that we run for parents year long. So here parents get onboarded onto this platform and get simple, easy to do weekly activities that encourage them to spend constructive time with their children every week. So what we believe in is if parents are consistently giving tiny bits of time to their children, not only will they form a strong bond with their child, they'll also become more aware of how and what their children need at that age. So CLAP enables that to happen and is also delivered as a part of all our programs. So the School Readiness Program is our first flagship program. Similar to this, with the same three stakeholders, we also have programs in partnership with the government of Karnataka. So here we do this with the Ministry of Education, where we set up a lab of schools. In Karnataka, we currently do it in Anikal block to set up LKG and UKG classrooms in the government schools. So here the schools are also very keen to do this because one, it will drive enrollment, and also make sure that children are feeling much more equipped when they enter grade 1. So in this case, we provide similar solutions, but in partnership with the state, and ensure that the state is able to take what is here now and scale it to all the schools that have pre-primary classrooms in government schools. So we are currently already scaling, for example, CLAP to 276 schools in Karnataka. We are exploring taking the teacher training that comes out of this to almost 1,000 schools in Karnataka, while our lab schools become the space for innovation and quality services as well. And lastly, like Mangal said, the third program that we're running is with the Anganbadis in the districts, in 2 districts in Madhya Pradesh at this point, with similar intentions of ensuring quality and best practices for the Anganbadis at a district level model of excellence. But yeah, these are the major.
Sure. Thank you, Mangal. Swetha, would you like to talk about diversity and inclusion within the organization?
So I'll just thanks for the question. I think it's a great question because I keep saying I'm not sure we reflect on it enough. But having said that, I think it's been an interesting journey. To an extent, I think something that I have always been very conscious of is the social space is also a very new space, right? It is evolving. And even up to say 5 years ago, or maybe partly now, most people entering this space have often been only people who can afford to do so. But today we're talking about better pay, we're talking about better working conditions. We as founders are actually not embarrassed to fundraise to ask for good and effective salaries that we can pay the people that we hire, right? These are fairly new, and even I feel like in a decade, I've seen this shift very much for the better at a diversity level. So at KEF also, in terms of pay, in terms of experience, in terms of employee benefits, we are very conscious of making sure it takes into consideration gender, experience, quality of work as well for every single employee. Having said that, we had a very narrow view. We were a team of about 22. And we had a very, like Mangal said, we're a very young team. We have people with an average of 5 to 7 years of work experience. So we didn't have to give it too much thought. We did often discuss gender a lot, and it's something we still look at because we are heavily skewed to be a woman-led organization. We have a lot of women who naturally enter this space. It could be because it's early childhood education. So I think at a diversity level, in terms of gender, we've always been skewed in the other direction and haven't had to worry too much. But I actually keep telling Mangal, how can we bring more men into this space? Not only from an org point of view, we need more men in the early childhood education space. So we keep talking about how we can bring them into more operational roles, bring them more into product development roles even, right? So those are some things we've spoken about. In the recent years, however, coming down to empowerment as a value that we hold, we've now grown to have a lot of people, say in Madhya Pradesh. We have teachers on our rolls. So we also have now a team of almost 70 people. And when we look at teachers, all of them are women, and women from communities very similar to those that we intend to empower. So bringing in effective policies that work for them, showing them their rights in terms of your own leave, right? Or what are your rights in terms of your daily working conditions, ensuring POSH compliance for all of them. These are things that we are now very deeply committed to and are engaging partners for as well.
Sure. Mangal, how frequently does organization hire and how do individuals apply for it?
Typically, most of our hiring takes place in the month of Jan to April, because that's when we have an understanding of what are the projects that we are doing. And hence, most of the on-ground staff, which is directly working on the project, we hire between Jan to March, April, and get the employee in the organization in April, train them for a good two months, and then they start working from the academic year, which starts at the end of May to June, right? And that's the typical on-ground frontline work staff that we're talking about. At the back end, as we are expanding, we are closely looking at hiring through the year with regards to our managers, with regards to our tech expertise. Most of our employees have come in through referrals of existing employees that are working in, or referrals to through the NGO partnership that we operate with on the ground. Right? Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah. Is there any website or where do you publish your hiring?
Yeah, so all the open positions are published on our website as well as on all our social media channels. Once the position has been designed and created, they are updated. And anyone interested in applying, you should keep checking our website. But at the same time, you can always write an email to us at connect@keyeducationfoundation.org. We would love to see what's a skill, what's the inclination. If there is no job, we'll create a role for you, because we are desperately looking for passionate individuals wanting to work in early childhood education.
Shweta, when you and your team specifically interview an individual, what is that one skill or something you look for in a candidate?
So there's two that I place at equal weightage. So I'm going to tell you about both. But so one is definitely, which is obvious but necessary, is a passion for early childhood education. I do expect people to feel personally connected to early childhood because it is a niche space within education. It's a hard space. So if you don't feel connected to it, it is very easy that you may get demotivated. Wins are small but wonderful when they happen. So that's one. The second that I can't emphasize enough for every role at KEF is just resilience and grit. The willingness to commit to something, take ownership of that and drive it, right, is something that we measure for very actively in multiple rounds of hiring as well. And it is definitely a deal breaker in terms of making or breaking a hire for us at KEF.
Yeah.
Sure. Would you also like to share the starting salary for a fresher candidate?
Typically, if for our program roles, we hire anyone with the work experience of at least 1 year, which is directly linked to teaching or in a teaching environment, and we offer them anywhere between 30 to 45,000. That's the range that which we operate on.
One last thing, not specific to KEF Education Foundation as a whole, but as an individual, one message that you want to share with young people who are listening to you about your experience, or one learning from your experience.
Messages, Sanjana. One is The notion that you cannot earn money and be in the social sector is wrong. There are enough opportunities for you to create your own niche skill set and hence demand a salary that you think is competitive. Of course, it will never be as high as corporate sector, but then there is enough resources currently in a country like India, and hence your skills, your salary can be justified to work in this space. Right? The second, this country will develop only if there are more and more young people getting into the social sector space, right? Today, I see a lot of young people very determined, very inclined towards solving the challenges of this country, right? Whether it is at a grassroots level in terms of water, pollution, or it is at a country level in terms of governance, politics, or policies, right? This is the right time to get into it because there is money. There are excellent institutions out there who are inviting young people to learn more about this journey of working in the social space. And the third and the most important thing is there is this really diverse set of ecosystem with really good NGOs that's already created. So I think this is the best time to get into it if you're thinking about getting into the social sector.
Thanks, Mangal. I think I definitely echo Mangal's thoughts, and I'll keep it very short in terms of some unsolicited advice. Just one thing I hear a lot of young people fretting about nowadays is people will ask me, where will I be 5 years from now? And I don't know. And I just want to reiterate that it's absolutely fine not to know. It is an unfair expectation if people think that you are young, you're interested in this space, you're feeling connected to something. It's totally fine to go for it, right? Enter the space and work with a commitment to do your best today and this year when you're in that job, and you will find your passion. And I think that is how all of us have found it, and some of us are still finding it. There are people in the social sector after 20 years of working in one organization make a switch, and they still make impact. They still have a role to play that is valuable, and switching a job or not knowing where you'll be 5 years from now is not telling on the worth that you bring to this space. So I hope everyone who listens is able to kind of take that away and feel a little more confident about your own self and your skills when you apply to the next job that you do.
That was wonderful. I totally echo to what you said, Swetha, because I myself have gone from this stage of thinking about people asking me, okay, what are you going to do after 5 years, 10 years, or even after 3 years? In fact, my friends who are working in corporate coming back to me and saying, what the hell are you doing? So yeah, but if you are connected to something, it really doesn't matter because everyone finds their own ways to solve something or do something in their own spaces. So thank you, Mangal. Thank you, Swetha, for today. It was lovely connecting with both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjana.
Thanks for having us.